I found a phone, and I realized it was a phone that she was using just to talk to him. All my worries and questions and all that were answered.
I just got really scared that my dad would kind of do something.
There was a lot of time that I was alone and spending with the kids.
A lot of things happened that wasn't necessarily positive for a young couple. I started living in my car full time.
I was a little mad because I didn't want to have to pick a parent.
And it put me in a position, obviously, to be a dad with a broken number of families.
I committed a crime out of anger.
I think we both failed in that department just because we just didn't want to deal with it.
Then when I had my daughter, things got a little rough. We were both young. It was a lot to deal with.
I kind of hated myself for a while of what I kind of built. Staying here and fighting for what I have, which is not much, but it's a lot to me.
I was married at 19. I got divorced at 24. It was a lot of pressure because I didn't want to be a divorcee at 24. I'm like, how can I? This just shows automatic failure. A lot of things happened that wasn't necessarily positive for a young couple. I had just graduated from college. Then when I had my daughter, things got a little rough. We were both young. It was a lot to deal with. And I think it took a toll on our situation. I tried to cut on the heat because it was a little cold. I don't hear anything. I don't feel nothing. So I put in a work order online. And that week turned into like a month. And they hadn't did anything. And I'm like, this is dangerous. Like, I can't keep sleeping in this house. It's getting cold. It's illegal. Like, I don't want to lose my daughter. If somebody find out about this, like, it's just going to be bad. So I started living in my car full time. I had to make a decision. I got to give my daughter to this man who really don't like me that much, but it's her father.
I was the one that filed for divorce. It wasn't just blindsiding me. I did it. But then I wasn't prepared to deal with the loneliness that comes afterwards. You're keeping it all inside. You're embarrassed. You're embarrassed you're getting divorced. No less, you're embarrassed that, to have to go around and be like, oh yeah, my wife's cheating on me. That's embarrassing. I built it up like a volcano, and eventually it just came out of me. I had a running in with Jennifer where she was just giving me a hard time about the kids. Then she was threatening to not let me see the kids.
My life then till now has always been, I guess, me trying to search where I want to be. Graduated high school, I went to college for a year and then decided to go to the military. I wanted to, I guess, be important to somebody. I wanted to feel like I was important to somebody. I wanted to, be the master of my own future. So I'm like, hey, so why not just go check out the military? And I went in for 8 years. I was a medic. Well, Isaiah and Dorian, I had them when we were in Missouri. Their mom's Liz, and she lives in Arkansas now. Gavin was next, and his mom's Nikki. Olivia was next with Jess, and Aiden is the youngest, and his mom's, Alyssa. So I got 5 kids, 4 mothers, and which was the biggest juggle of my life. I guess the lack of knowledge of how to be in a relationship or how a relationship's supposed to be. Put me in a position, obviously, to be a dad with a broken number of families. So I kind of hated myself for a while of what I kind of built, what kind of family I built, until I realized what I had. If things do get a little harder, I think about my mom's. She had 18 of her own, and then she raised several of her daughter's kids. So me having 5 kids is normal. Because when they're all gone, I am lost. I have no idea who I am. I don't want to be home because I don't have to cook a giant meal. I can't cook just for myself. So I either work all the time or I just hibernate in my room somewhere.
Once we had went to court and we had said everything that we were going to go do, I ended up submitting paperwork that I moved to this place. I was able to start seeing my daughter more regularly, but I used to wonder, like, wow, will me and my ex-husband ever get to a point where we're like friends again? Or where we could see each other and not argue? The same passion you fell in love with typically is the same passion you have when you divorced that person. It's the same. Everything that you would give to a person because you really love them is everything you're willing to do because that person is going to hurt you.
I was a little mad because I didn't want to have to pick a parent.
The children don't know how to really handle this adjustment. It's all new to them. So you'll see more anxiety. You might see a decrease in academic functioning. Obviously, some sadness, maybe some depression that might follow, or irritability. Validating that emotion for these children, letting them know, I see that you're sad. I see that you're upset about this. Letting them know that they have that voice and it's okay.
Going to prison, being out of the kids' lives for that long, it really put things into perspective for both me and her, I believe.
Well, it wasn't easy. It was obviously very hard on the kids. It was a day-to-day experience. You never knew if they were going to be sad, angry, any emotion that any human being's going to have. I mean, you know, first you're angry about it, then you're sad about it, then you accept it, and then you deal with it, and then all of a sudden they're back, and you're like, holy cow. Now we got to experience this whole other aspect of it.
What we wanted to do is tell parents that we understood what they were going through, dealing with the emotions of family breakup, or that if children are out of wedlock, that they want to be able to see children. So what they're going through is real and normal, and it's not something they should be ashamed of. And then we would provide education to help them through that process, and also let them know that their children are going through the same thing at the same time. You know, when parents decide to divorce, it's an adult decision. But for children, it's almost like a drive-by shooting. They're just sitting there, and all of these things just happen to change their life.
Parents have to love their child more than they dislike the other parent. The bottom line is if the parents can't cooperate, communicate, co-parent, it's going to hurt their child. And then they're going to have a stranger in a black robe make decisions for their household.
I didn't want to be told, this is what you're supposed to have. My whole life was, this is what you're supposed to have. My whole life was, this is who you're supposed to be. I didn't know what I'm supposed to be or what I want to be. And I wanted to be dad. So I just fought for what I know my kids needed. And it was a right to see both parents.
I'm just waiting for them to actually stop arguing and get along more often and stop fighting over the simplest stuff. I honestly don't think about the choices they make. I'm just, as long as I get to see them both at a certain time, I'm fine with it, as long as I get to see them.
It kind of just makes you step back and realize, like, oh, you know, it wasn't all my fault, or it wasn't all his fault. We were both accountable, you know, we both were at fault.
First, you want to push the blame on everybody else. Eventually, you get to the point where you're just saying, all I can control is myself, and all I can do is look at the bright side of things.
So once I realized like my problems and my faults, and I was willing to look in the mirror and look at the things that I needed to work on, we made it where we don't have to see each other too much. When we do see each other, it's at the school plays or events, and Ali is happy because both her parents are there. It's never like hostile anymore.
And even if that parent has done things that they shouldn't have, if they're not good parents, you have to remember that parent and that child are still connected, and they feel responsibility, and they feel hurt.
Sometimes I just drop things. Sometimes we discuss things and get things worked out. Sometimes I just bite my tongue. And she does the same with me. I know she does. We've got kids together, so that's what it comes down to. Ultimately, we just have to work towards raising the kids together.
I realize a lot of people's emotions get tied into it, and it ends up being about how your parenting relationship is going versus how we should do for the kids. Our kids learn 90% of what they need to know in life from us. You know, they can go outside and experience a lot outside this house, a lot. But still, what they saw here first is what they saw here first. If you don't give them something to compare to what they see outside, that's what they're gonna hold on to.
Right now, they're little sponges, right? They're picking up everything that these parents are doing. They're modeling long-term, how do you handle conflict? What should a normal or healthy household look like? And so it's so important that you're modeling good structure, good communication, problem solving, healthy coping skills, all of these things that are gonna set the tone for when they're off away from your house, whether they're in college or living by themselves, having their own families. They're picking up so much from what mom and dad are doing in the household.
You don't have to always argue with the other parent, and you don't have to send messages back through the child with the other parent.
I think it's really awesome because I don't have to choose who I like best. I just get to hang around both of them, and I don't got to choose no sides. So that's really cool.
Even though you're no longer going to be related to each other because of the split up, that it is important to understand that you're still family to the same children. And a child will hold back from you if they feel you don't want to know or hear about what their true feelings are. By giving the child the right to love the other parent, you are in fact opening a door between you and your own child that will never be closed. An example would be a case that I was involved in where the parents did not get along. They didn't talk to each other. But the child came back one day from a parenting time and went to the dad's house, and he was living primarily with his dad at that time, and said, "My mom's not going to get me next Wednesday night." And the father said, "Well, why not?" And he said, "Because she's getting an award of Employee of the Year." And he thought for a second, and he was going to say, "Well, it's great she's such a fantastic employee. It's too bad she's such a lousy mother." But he didn't. He held his tongue this time, and he thought about what he learned from Smile. And he went to the phone, and he called the flower shop to order flowers to be delivered to the mother on that day that she was going to be given an award. And when they asked for the card that they wanted with the flowers, he said, "Mom, I'm very proud of you. I love you." And he signed his son's name. Now his son heard this, and he said, "Wow, Dad, why'd you do that?" He said, "Because it's the right thing to do." Remember, children learn from what you tell them, but they'll remember from what they see and what they experience. Well, a few days later, when the event occurred, he told me, this man who did this, that he got a phone call. The phone rang, and his son answered the phone, and it was his mother. And she said, and she was crying, he said, that "I just got your flowers. And no award they could have given me today would have been more important than the flowers I got from you." And he said when his son hung up the phone, he went over to him and he gave his dad a hug and a kiss, which was something that he normally received from his child. They were demonstrative. However, he said he felt something from his child that day that he had never felt before. And he realized the flowers may have been a gift to his ex-spouse, who he really didn't like, but the flowers was something that opened a door between him and his child, because it told his child that he had the right to love his mother, and he could share that with the father. And that was something that may have been done for the ex-wife, but it was a bond in a relationship that can never be changed between the father and the child.
Like if I call him now and be like, "Hey, can you take Lily?" He won't do it every day, but he'll be like, "Okay, this sounds important, let me help." Or for example, they didn't have arts and crafts on Friday, so Lily called me. I was in the middle of working, but because I have a highly flexible job, I told her I would be there in 20 minutes. So I didn't get mad at Aaron or say like, "Hey Aaron, you wasn't here to pick up the baby. What's going on?" I was just like, "I don't know what's going on. I'll ask questions later. Let me just go pick her up." And then he called me apologizing. "I know this is your day to work. I don't want you to have to take off work. I'm sorry." That wasn't the response I was gonna get 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's a progression, and I do feel like anybody can achieve whatever they want if they look at their schedule and try to make it work for them. It took years. It wasn't like an overnight thing. Pressure, it either breaks pipes or makes diamonds. And I feel like I came out a diamond because I didn't let the pressure break me.
We believe that there's never too much information you can give the other parent. You need to treat the other parent how you want to be treated. You need to extend an olive branch. You need to be kind, considerate, classy, and professional. And that way, hopefully the other side will see that, appreciate it, and treat you the same way.
You know, staying angry at somebody is only hurting you. It's not hurting them. And that's what it comes down to. It bleeds too much into every other aspect of your life. You can't go on and have a normal relationship with somebody else. And you can't have a relationship with your own kids.
It wasn't very, I guess, fun when they still wouldn't get along. It would always kind of make me afraid, and then I didn't really like it. So, I mean, it makes me feel a lot better now that they all get along. Like when they started getting along, I'm like, well, maybe we can just like start hanging out more and like just see each other.
They didn't get along so well, like they couldn't talk without like arguing about something. So now they can like actually have a conversation, and like they could like it's basically like they're friends. It's way better like than it was. I love it.
They helped me as far as being able to communicate with my kids, salvaging my relationship with my family. And I had a parenting class I took actually through Oakland County. They helped me better communicate with my kids' mom. I'm grateful to it. My kids are, I'm sure, grateful because they see me happier now these days. They see that I'm more relaxed and I'm not just tense, I'm not just here. I'm actually in it.
Playing games with each other, hanging out. It's pretty nice overall.
I actually became dad and not just the man that's actually providing for you. And they became my kids and not just somebody I'm protecting. It breaks my heart, even today. The thought of your kids, like, you know, you have kids, so the thought of your kids wondering what dad or mom's thinking, or why can't dad or mom play with me, just breaks your heart. So I never really got when people bragged about their kids until I started being able to talk more about my kids. I started taking joy in that my kids make me happy. I take joy knowing that I'm actually making my kids happy. Why can't I just enjoy my kids and be a parent? So now I'm enjoying these crazy nutballs, man, and you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I'm happier now because they're happy. So
I acted wrong. I was, you know, I didn't, I should have did things differently. We got to that point because of my situation that I put myself into. I hope that other people can get to that point without going through the same situation I went through.